Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Cradle News Roundup, coming to you live. My name is Esteban Carrillo. I am the news editor for the Cradle, and I'm joined by Sima Itaim, content creator and social media manager for the Cradle, and Karim Shami, content creator and writer for the Cradle. And as usual, before we start, just to remind you, please, as soon as you arrive, hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel if you haven't, check out our memberships, but above all, check out our Patreon, where you can become a direct supporter of the Cradle and help us continue to do the work that we do here and across other platforms. Also find us on these other social media platforms, on X and on Telegram and on Instagram, before they strike our account down again, as they like to do. Today, October 6, 2025, we are one day removed from the second year anniversary of the start of the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza. Um, Nowhere near it ending. It doesn't appear that way, although, and I guess we can start with this, there's a new round of negotiations taking place in the Egyptian capital, indirect talks between Israel, Hamas, and the U.S. Hamas last week on Friday accepted part of Trump's plan for Gaza, peace plan for Gaza. Um, we'll get into exactly what they accepted and what they are not okay with. Israel also accepted, and I need to use some air quotes there, because after they accept, immediately Benjamin Netanyahu, as he has always done, comes out and says, we're not going to leave Gaza. The war is not going to stop. We reserve the right to continue bombing it. Nothing, shocking here. It's something that's been happening. Honestly, with these ceasefire conversations, I feel the most intense deja vu. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like it's just the same thing over and over. And now we wait to see how the Israelis are going to sabotage it this time. Donald Trump claimed that, after Hamas gives a positive response to his plan, he orders Israel, right, to immediately stop the bombing. And then through the weekend, he has claimed several times that the attacks have stopped. This couldn't be farther from the truth. You have dozens of people killed daily in Gaza. If anything, in certain areas, the attacks have intensified. Obviously, Israel doing what it does best, which is show its middle finger to the White House and to the rest of the world, and does what it does. So, guys, we haven't said all that. What do you make of the talks that are taking place today? But more importantly, what exactly is being negotiated? What on the Palestinian agenda in particular, what is, would you say, is the main point of contention?
All right. Well, the thing is, first of all, to answer to what you were saying, we're entering the third year of this genocide. And Esteban, you were saying it doesn't feel any different to you this time around when it comes to efforts towards a deal. It feels like deja vu. I do agree in the sense that I feel hopeless, but I don't feel like it's the same. And that doesn't mean that I think it will work out. But there's just such a huge effort, and there's been such a huge step and concession from Hamas. We'll get into that later because I have so much to say about that. But Hamas accepting, as you said, part of the proposal, because we discussed on a previous episode, and many of you were probably with us, what this 21-point plan, now, if I'm not mistaken, 20-point plan
They reduced it to, yeah.
involves. So they accepted to release the big thing here in terms of if you talk about concessions, the big thing here is that they're accepting to release captives before Israel even withdraws. Whether it withdraws fully or not is a different story. But previously they had said you have to stop, you have to withdraw, and then a prisoner exchange can take place. Now they are negotiating under fire, right? And they have accepted to release captives even before any withdrawal. Now, the points of contention, actually, I wanted to just comment on the media and what the media is to us. The media, when you follow the media and the news, you're not staying up to date with what is happening or the truth. You're staying up to date with only what they want you to see. Everything behind the scenes, we don't know. The points of contention are many. We know that in theory, Hamas is opposed to a foreign force handling Gaza, to Tony Blair running Gaza with this, board of peace. We know that Hamas is opposed to disarming. We know that Hamas, it's endless things. I feel like they have pushed all these things aside now and just focused on the prisoner exchange deal. Like the disarming, like you said, Netanyahu came out, also the war minister, Katz, he came out. They all said after the prisoners are released, we will disarm Hamas. So, I'm not going to sit and pretend I know what exactly is being negotiated in Egypt. What I know is that most of this is full of points of contention, and they are trying to kind of like sideline the other stuff to just be like, oh, maybe we can get this deal done. Don't ask me how. It means that in later phases, more negotiations will happen to work these things out. And I noticed there were some distortions in the media. Like, for example, the Western media quoted Hamas official Musa Abu Marzouk as saying that Hamas is willing to hand over its weapons once the Israeli occupation of Gaza ends. That's not what he said. He said once the Israeli occupation ends. So, it means two different things. And Hamas has refused disarming several times, but has said we will hand our weapons over to basically the Palestinian state once it's established. And then we have from yesterday some fake Saudi reports by Al Hadath and Al Arabiya, which we have discussed before on this podcast. They are basically like as if it's a channel for the Israeli military, you could say. So they came out and said that Hamas will definitely hand over its weapons to an under international supervision to Egypt and I don't know who. And Hamas came out and denied this. I don't want to make this just about disarming. And I also wanted to bring up the title of this episode, which I don't want you guys to think that we are asking this question, in seriousness. We can ask it, but I have seen some reports from today that it's not very likely that he will win the Nobel Peace Prize. But the reason is, he's chasing this Nobel Peace Prize and he's trying to force a Gaza deal, thinking that this will bring him closer to the Nobel Peace Prize. But I just wanted to point out before.
I feel like, very small parenthesis there, Sim. I feel like this is why he's saying that the fate needs to be finalized this week, because this week is the announcement.
100%. I just wanted to say that we've reached the point where even the families of the captives in Gaza, what they call hostages, that I refuse to call hostages, they are campaigning for Trump to win the Nobel Peace Prize. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum, as they call it, represents most of the relatives of these captives in Gaza, sent a letter to the Norwegian Nobel Committee urging them to honor Trump for his so-called peace efforts in Gaza. And they claim that his plan to end the war and free the remaining captives within 72 hours has given them light in their darkest times. And they've credited him for all the previous releases. Wasn't the first release that took place not even while Trump was in office?
The first release happened in November 2023.
Exactly. So I don't know why.
Or was it October, actually?
It was November, I think. And yeah, I don't know why they're crediting him for that. But if you guys recall, it was with Trump that Hamas released the Israeli-American soldier Idan Alexander, thinking that they would get aid into Gaza in response, but got nothing. It was another trap. And so anyway, we have that. It was written like a fan letter by these guys, saying no one's done more for peace in the world, and Trump will not rest until the last hostage is home. But it's, of course, very performative. And don't forget, guys, that Netanyahu himself nominated Trump for next year's Nobel. And
very good points. Very good point.
This is to fast track the Gaza plan, which has not even been resolved. Again, this is why Esteban is rightfully pessimistic.
I think before I let you go on, Karim, I feel like the Nobel Committee is going to get sanctioned by the end of this week if they don't pick Donald Trump. It's more likely than not we're going to see sanctions against these Norwegian officials. Donald Trump, in his UN speech, he talked about ending 7 wars, and about half of them they were made up. He was talking about the Serbia-Kosovo war, which hasn't happened. He talked about ending the Rwanda DRC war, which hasn't ended. So it's a man who lives in the fantasy land.
Oh, yeah.
Azerbaijan and what did he say? Cambodia. He confused Armenia. Albania.
But no, he even said Azerbaijan wrong. He said Azerbaijan or something, and Albania.
The leader of the free world. What do you think, Karim, about the Cairo talks? And it's been 2 years since the start of this. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that.
Yeah, it's not the first. It's not the first talks. It happened before. Yeah, and don't forget that the last time when they were negotiating, Israel tried to assassinate the head of Hamas in Qatar, and previously, I think it was last May when people felt that a deal will be reached, and then we saw that Israel bombed the tents in southern Gaza. So we have to watch out, because the hype that Trump created, because not Hamas or Israel who are the ones that created the hype. It was created by Trump, and I think Trump, because he's not that knowledgeable in politics, when he read it and he saw that Hamas said that we accept, he thought, khalas, the war ended. There's a lot of negotiations that should go on, the prisoners who will be released, because if we go to square one, Why 7 October happened? 7 October happened because Hamas took captives from the Israeli side in order for Israel to release thousands of captives. This is the main point of 7 October. So the captives and the Palestinian hostages or detainees in Israel is the main point. And of course, because there was war and all this genocide that happened, also they have to discuss the aid, the hospitals, who will pay, who will rebuild, who will stay, who will leave, who will govern. So it's not, I don't think it will take like a few days. And expect anything from the Israelis. Maybe they will bomb the airplane or a bus that holds Hamas
Maybe they'll bomb
negotiators.
Cairo.
Maybe they will bomb
Yeah, to
Cairo.
assassinate Khalil al-Hayy again, like to try and assassinate him again. You don't know.
This
Yeah,
is
so
this,
we yes.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No,
Okay,
no,
finish your
yeah,
thought.
we should watch this. Of course, there's many pressure from a lot of pressure from Trump because he wants the Nobel Prize, and as we discussed previously, Trump is a narcissistic person. He wants everything for himself. Yeah, usually when we used to like analyze and read the politics, the United States politics, usually we take many measures, history. What is good for the United States, what is bad, and the allies of the United States. But with Trump, you only have to analyze Trump and see that he's a narcissistic and he loves to take the Nobel Prize. And because I think he's jealous because Obama took it and he wants to take it. How Obama took it and I didn't take it and I ended this wars, because it's very easy to know what Trump is thinking of, because when he reads from his teleprompter, usually he concentrates on one specific thing, and in the past 2 months, the thing that he's concentrating on is the Nobel Prize. So that's what he wants.
Thank you so
mind if I
much to
comment?
Shannon L for their super chat. They ask,
Thank
love you all, but where is Charmin? This is just the question that keeps chasing us
Guys,
every
she's
single
she's
episode.
not gone forever. Like
No.
if she were able to be on, she'd be on.
I feel
She
like
has
we
lot
should
of
have a
work and she's
segment on the
traveling at
podcast.
moment.
Yeah, we
Don't
should have a
worry.
segment on the podcast called Where in the World is Charmin?
I know we
Nawani?
don't live up to the task, but she's
Oh,
not
no,
gone
don't be like
forever. She's
No,
not
no,
gone
she'll be
forever.
back. She'll be back. Charmin will be back. I'm sure. You know, she's popped up in the comments before. Like Sima said, she's traveling. She's having internet issues. Unfortunately, she wishes she could join. She sends her love every time we talk to her. She tells
Don't
us,
worry,
send us
guys.
or
It's
send
not
her love.
forever.
But in the
I
meantime,
promise.
stick with us. We cannot tell you when she'll be back. In all honesty, but of course, Charmin will be back sooner rather than later. In any case, thank you for staying here with us. I agree with you completely, Karim, that this is, Donald Trump looking at Barack Obama and being like, how can that man have a Nobel Peace Prize? And honestly, that is a good question. How can that man have a Nobel Peace Prize, Like the drone bomber in chief.
The creator of ISIS.
Exactly. The leader of ISIS.
I just wanted to comment on just quickly, like a couple things that Karim said that I think are important,
ahead.
if you don't mind, Esteban, which
course.
is, he mentioned the prisoners. Now, the number of prisoners as part of the deal has also gone down to a couple thousand, when in fact there are over 11,000 in Israeli prisons. And the thing about the prisoners as well is that they are, they are discussing very high-profile figures that Hamas wants released with life sentences. These are very heavyweight people like Abdullah Barghouti, who was a chief engineer and bomb maker for Qassam. There's Ahmed Saadat, the Secretary General of the PFLP. There's Marwan Barghouti. Everyone knows Marwan Barghouti because the Western media loves to write articles about him. But so according to reports coming out, Israel is still refusing to release any life sentence prisoners. So you were talking about, when we were talking about points of contention, this is definitely one of them, as Karim was saying. And the second point I wanted to make was about just perception and the kind of analysis going around after Hamas accepted part of that plan and Trump's response and Trump sharing Hamas's statement. Karim, do you think you could pull up that picture of Trump? Do you have it? The one that the Israeli media posted of him with like a Qassam Brigade's headband?
Oh, God, that picture is amazing.
So if you have it, Karim was talking about Trump's ego. And so I just wanted to take the opportunity quickly to talk about the two different ways that this was interpreted by people. So the first, like Hamas's acceptance and statement, because Hamas didn't praise Trump's plan, but praised Trump's efforts to appeal to his ego. And so that most likely made Trump happy. Now, this is one perspective, is that this was a master stroke by Hamas, okay, and that it was very smart. The other perspective, because sorry, in this first perspective, Netanyahu's taken by surprise, Israeli media is in a frenzy, Netanyahu's cornered, and this is like Hamas's genius. The other perspective is that this is simply another trap, and Netanyahu is fully coordinating with Trump and knows about Trump's statement and what he was going to release, and they are just trying to, orchestrate another deception so that Hamas will release the captives and then they can proceed with the genocide and what they want to do with the Gaza Strip as they see fit. Both are valid perspectives, to be fair. I understand that that Hamas, appealed to Trump's ego by praising his efforts, which is something people wouldn't really expect, Hamas to do. So yes, this photo that Karim has put up is, I find it pathetic because, Trump's fully with Netanyahu as far as I'm concerned. I think most people here agree with me, but it's so funny because it's just self-victimization on the Israelis' part,
I saw someone on X a few hours ago post a question that I just thought, it's so prescient for the times we're living in. And it's like, what isn't terrorism today? What
Yeah.
is not terrorism? Because like the fact that the Israelis do this even to their biggest ally, right? Like one of their biggest allies, like, oh, you're an agent of Hamas. It really shows you how much the conversation has devolved and how little, truth and facts and reality matters at this point, especially among Zionists. But I think you bring up a good point, Sima, that,
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
Hamas's response.
Yeah, and just the last thing is that we talked about how Hamas accepted in part. That also includes, just to remind you guys, that they accept to, Karim, they accept to hand Gaza over to a government run by Palestinian technocrats. They accept that. Now, we don't know what their thoughts are exactly on the board of peace and the foreign force. If you want to talk about what's the feasibility of an Arab foreign force in Gaza on the ground, and I don't know. But the weapons thing, like Musa Abu Marzouk said 2 days ago that 90% of Hamas's military capabilities have been destroyed. He's like, what weapons are you talking about? Like, we have light weapons. Like, this shouldn't even be a point of discussion. Whether it's 70 or 90, we know that Qassam is continuing on the field to have its ways to confront in very innovative ways until today, and also Saraya al-Quds and all the other factions active in Gaza. But still, this is not even, shouldn't even be a point. Am I right?
Yeah, you're always right, Simo. I just want to point up two things. First, regarding the deal or the negotiations, I just want to point out that Israel is not that serious. If they were serious, they would have stopped bombing Gaza the moment Trump told them or asked them to stop, because they didn't stop. Just the past 24 hours, 21 Palestinians were killed in Gaza and 79 were injured. And since Trump asked Israel to stop bombing, they killed around 100 Palestinians. So I don't think they are that serious. And also I wanted to mention, when you talked about Barghouthi, in the negotiations, one person or one name can hold the whole negotiations. So it's that complicated. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, exactly. Any little thing, actually. Any little thing. Could you pull up the maps, by the way? Just Esteban, go ahead. But I want him to pull up the maps of Trump's withdrawal plan for Israel, because it's not a full withdrawal.
And
Yeah,
also,
Go ahead,
I
go
will
ahead,
pull down.
Karim.
I just want to replay what I did, what I posted now. These are from Hebrew channels. The moment Trump just said that
Hamas is ready for
Hamas
peace.
is ready for peace, they did this for Trump, who sacrificed everything for Israel. So which map do you want first, Jeremy?
I want just the withdrawal lines. I want to see according to Trump's plan, the withdrawal line.
We need to also mention the fact, and again, the deja vu of this entire thing, that the allies of Netanyahu are again saying, we're going to blow up the government. We're going to,
That's
leave
deja vu.
Netanyahu standing there in his underwear, collapse the government, which has been the threat since October 8th. Since October 8, 2023, this has been the threat. And on the other hand, you again have Yair Lapid and Naftali Bennett and Benny Gantz, the moderates, the Israeli moderates, saying, don't worry, Bibi. Don't worry, Bibi. We got you. We got you. We got your safety net. If these people leave, we have got you now. And remember, Israel heading to elections next year. So yeah, I feel like, again, we are seeing just a repeat of what we already seen multiple
And again, there's no
times.
pressure. There's no pressure. Trump has already said to all of us that Israel can do whatever it wants if Hamas makes one wrong move. Like it's not like, he's pressuring Netanyahu.
Exactly, exactly.
All
And
optics.
everything is so vague, even in the 20-point plan, this is what Hamas was talking about. Like there's so many gray areas that
Yeah.
like Israel has got so many backdoors in this plan to just simply be like, whoop, we're gonna restart the genocide because this happened or whatever else happened. But in any case, here on the screen we have the map of the of what the Israeli withdrawal would entail.
Yes, and I mean, since as you guys can notice, there is no full withdrawal here. So you see, it's phased, right? So with the captives release, you see the yellow with the yellow withdrawal line is for when they release the captives, and then the second withdrawal is when the ISF, which is the International Stabilization Force, right? Which we don't even know how any of the logistics of how this will work and who's in the stabilization force.
UN or
No,
only
no.
Israel and Americans?
No, Arabs.
They
We
say
don't know.
Arabs, yeah.
Qatar,
But who?
UAE,
Exactly.
Saudi, Egypt, we don't know. Okay, but we don't know. I don't know. If anyone knows, tell us in the comments. The second withdrawal, the red line, so that's the stabilization force. And then the third one, that is still a buffer zone within Gaza territory. So again, Hamas is the one making concessions here. Previously, Hamas would have never accepted to even talk about giving up prisoners under fire or without a full withdrawal. So let's see now what happens, because we're in a very precarious situation. And keep in mind that Hamas is relying on Turkey and Qatar for the
Yeah, exactly.
guarantees,
That's what I
for the
meant.
guarantees for the war to end, which you cannot trust Turkey and Qatar, but they are the only ones Hamas has. And that is really, like, that's who they're counting on. And it's Turkey who's pressuring Hamas, both Turkey
Yes.
and Qatar. And Trump came out and said, Erdogan, thank you for pressuring Hamas. And it's not that we believe everything Trump says, but we know how much Turkey and Qatar
No,
pressure
yeah,
Hamas.
Erdogan
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
you can see from this map, and aside from this map, they're broadcasting, their main broadcaster reported yesterday that there are 3 other points in Gaza that they want to occupy for the near future. And that includes a point in Gaza City, the Philadelphia corridor, which is on the border with Egypt, and there's a third one. So there is a continued occupation aside from this not complete withdrawal. Sorry, guys, go ahead.
Do you want me to pull the other map?
I mean, the other map is more of like Israeli control of Gaza, if I'm not
But
mistaken.
yeah, I think the question about the Arab military force, that is so interesting because, well, first of all, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, what soldiers do they have? Like when you talk about these people, or these nations, you don't talk about the nations where, the majority is Saudi, the majority is Qatar. It's like a nations of immigrants, essentially. You have Egypt. Egypt could lend, troops, I guess. You have maybe Jordan. I don't know how that will play. I feel like they already have, the most likely outcome is just going to be more mercenaries, like the GHF, like the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, like Tony Blair is behind the GHF as well. And he's behind this whole 20-point scheme and the Riviera of the Middle East. You have, just all of these mercenary companies now working around the world that I feel like this is what Palestinians are going to end up with if this plan is moves forward. But, I don't know what the likelihood of it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, it's very difficult. Yani first, as you said, there is no respectable Arab state that did this or is willing to do this. As you mentioned, Jordan and Egypt, they have a well-organized military. The other ones, not so much. And I think, if we look at the geography, it's more probably it will be Jordan and Egypt because they are on the borders. And the other will send maybe equipment or money. So I think this is the plan. And the Arabs are willing to do it because if the United States told them to, they can't say no. They don't know how to say no.
Inside Gaza, there's also worth mentioning the Palestinian groups that are working with Israel. Of course, we know Wall Street commentator Yasser Abu Shabab.
there's the second one.
There's a
as well.
second one, exactly.
Yeah, it's something very dangerous happening in Gaza, actually, which can play a role also later on if they need to increase pressure. I wanted to bring it up because it only happened 3 days ago in Khan Yunis. So you guys know about Yasser Abu Shabab. I think we've talked about him a lot on this podcast. But there's also Hussam al-Astal, who is ex-Palestinian Authority, and he's working directly with Israel and wants peace with Israel. So 3 days ago in Khan Yunis, there were you can call them clashes. I'll explain in a minute. But Israeli media is reporting this as marking the first time a Hamas operation in Gaza is directly countered by a Palestinian group aligned with Israel with Israeli air cover. So literally, we have, just to tell you quickly what happened, at dawn on 3 October, fighters from Hamas's security wing surrounded a hideout of collaborators from the Majaydi family. Now, there are prominent families in Gaza, and usually the neighborhood is named after the family. So they call it Hayy al-Majayda or Majaydi, which is basically like the neighborhood of that family. So they are accusing them of collaborating with Israel, let's say Hamas's people are accusing them of that, and of previously abducting at least one, but two, if I'm not mistaken, resistance fighters and killing them and mutilating their bodies. Now I'm talking about resistance-aligned reports, all right? So according to these, the Hamas's security forces killed several of these family members, including the ones said to be responsible for killing these fighters. And then Israeli drones intervened and assisted the family, bombed the Hamas security forces vehicles, and at least between 11 and 20 resistance forces, security forces, were killed, which of course could not have happened without the Israeli air cover. So this Hussam al-Astal, he's like the Yasser Abu Shabab of Khan Yunis, because Yasser Abu Shabab is in Rafah, further south, southernmost. So he's former PA, and he's now leading this pro-Israel militia, and he says that he thwarted this Hamas attack. Of course, it's like Hamas is just going around attacking people for no reason. That's his narrative. And that Hamas fired RPGs and all this. And so he openly coordinates with Israel, and he's actually faced a death sentence in Gaza before for collaboration. And now he is fully with Israel and wants to also, like Yasser Abu Shabab, re-educate Gaza's people to not have hostility towards Israeli Jews and to coexist. And my point is, this could be used now. We saw this once. As I said, this was the first time it happened like this. If this happens again and down the line with how they want their plan to proceed, it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous.
Also, I heard and I read that even they used a helicopter to transfer the injured. Yeah, Seema?
Yes.
Yeah, now Israelis are using helicopters to transfer injured Palestinians from Gaza that were injured while clashing with Hamas fighters. So they are preparing this, and also they are playing the card of the families. That because here in the Arab world we have clans and we have families and we have tribes. Usually tribes and families are more stronger than even faith. So if your family goes to a direction, usually the whole family follows it or the whole tribe follows it. So that's the card that they are playing. Maybe they are creating a safe zone for people that are with the Israelis, because you mentioned there's a neighborhood full of them. So maybe that's one of their plans. Of course, I think if the deal is done and the Arabs will come, I think the first thing Israel will do is to sell these people or to kill them.
Exactly.
But now they are a card that Israel is playing.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to ask you, how do you think this will play into the whole stabilization force that they will deploy there? They will play a role in this.
Without going further, I just want to ask, we didn't fully answer. Do you think that Trump will get the Nobel Prize?
I think it's possible because, if we look at what's happening, I wouldn't be surprised if he got it. Esteban, what do you think?
Like somebody said in the chat reminded us, it's not just Barack Obama who has a Nobel Peace Prize, it's also Henry Kissinger. So,
a lot of people. Woodrow Wilson got it for creating the League of Nations. Where did that get us today? I mean, all kind, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think the last one was handed over to this Iran journalist who did all the buzz for Masa Amini.
Can we remember her name, please?
Yeah, of course.
She's the CIA. Like, she has curly hair and she always wears a flower
wears
in her hair.
little
And she took
flower.
it because she's against Iran, and now Trump bombed Iran, so it's highly likely he might take it, unless if the judgery, yes,
Yeah, like the judges.
the judges are like liberals, they will hate Trump. If not, he will take it. I will pull up her name and her photo.
But there have been recent reports for why experts say Trump is unlikely to win it. So that's why I'm saying I don't know. I mean, whatever. The point is, like, he's chasing it and he's trying to force this extremely complicated
I mean,
thing.
the thing also is that Donald Trump is just so distasteful for liberals. You know, like
Yeah.
even though they end up defending the same things and they end up standing on the same side of many important issues, at the end of the day, liberals, they do not like Donald Trump's style. You know, they don't like his brashness. They don't like, well, who he is. He's not a very likable person to begin with. So
Yeah.
I feel like that is going to have a lot more weight on whether, you know, he actually ended any wars, or he actually is, you know, a peacemaker, as he likes to call himself. As Karim looks for the picture of this lady, another big item over the past weekend has been, well, two things really. The massive protest in support of Gaza. You know, at this point, I think we can say public opinion is against Israel. Across the board, you have to be, you know, an idiot or a monster to continue to support Israel. Sometimes both. We know that the fact that public opinion has turned so sharply is why, you know, Larry Ellison is now in control of TikTok. His son is now in control of CBS News. They control CNN. They control Paramount. Now Larry Ellison is the largest single donor to the Israeli army, one of the richest men in the world. They are really trying, you know, founder of Oracle. They are trying to force public perception to change in favor of the entity that is committing a genocide. But as we saw this weekend, I mean, I don't know if you have it, Karim. I sorry to put so many things on you,
No
but you know, there were almost 250,000 people in Amsterdam.
Yes.
Hundreds of thousands across Italy, hundreds of thousands in Spain, protests in Canada, protests in the US, protests in in other countries in Europe, heavy repression in many of these. The people are fed up. People are fed up across the board. And like Mohammed Soidan said last week, which was a very, very, you know, poignant comment that he made, is like, these people are not protesting for a political solution. They're protesting because of a humanitarian crisis that is completely unavoidable. So, you know, what sparked this protest as well? The kidnapping of the flotilla participants who have been, in the words of Itamar Ben-Gvir, National Security Minister of Israel, have been treated like terrorists, as they deserve to be, because anybody who supports Palestinian liberation or simply an end to the genocide has to be a terrorist, right? Among them, most prominent figure, likely Greta Thunberg, who, you know, just a few years ago, you had like Ursula von der Leyen or Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton tripping over themselves to take pictures with little Greta, the little girl who opposed climate change and who asked world leaders to do something about it. But when she actually took up the flag of possibly, you know, the most just cause that we currently have as a civilization, then she's forgotten, quite literally, in an Israeli torture center where it's been confirmed she has been, you know, faced abuse, mistreated. She's been deported today. As we're speaking right now, she's being deported to Greece or Slovakia. I'm not sure which country in particular, but she's part of this group of 170-something activists, many of whom is still not known exactly where they are, what their condition is. Dozens of them still trapped in these Israeli torture centers where we are, you know, I feel like, remember when the war in Ukraine started and all of these Western commentators just couldn't wrap their heads around the fact that all of a sudden you had refugees who weren't brown or who weren't black.
Yeah, I remember.
They were like, this shouldn't be happening. These people are blonde. These people are blue-eyed. I feel like something similar is going to be happening with the flotilla participants, because all of a sudden now you have the accounts not of Palestinians who are being tortured, who are being raped, who are being, you know, mistreated, well, all of these things that happen inside these centers. Now you have the accounts of, you know, Greta Thunberg and whoever else, like all
Yeah,
of
there's
these
many.
European and Western activists.
Exactly. No, and now they're
Yeah,
like,
just
imagine how
sorry.
Palestinians feel. Imagine how Palestinians feel. Like now it's like now you believe them. Like anyway. I mean, of course, I'm not for what they did, but I just
Yes,
yeah.
sorry. First, I want to clarify something. So this is the woman that took the Nobel Prize.
Oh, our viewers, Masih Ali Najad, they all know her.
Yeah, they named her. They were naming her.
The
Okay.
comments have.
So I saw a picture because I was searching. She looks like the one that we talked about, but she's not the same one. But also because of her
I think everybody
activities
knows her.
and-
We
yeah.
don't need to put up her
Oh,
picture.
okay, so it wasn't her that
let me
won the
quickly just
prize?
thank Don Sugar
She looks
for
like
their
her.
support.
Karim.
And let
Sorry.
me thank Don Sugar for their super chat. Let me see what he says. Trump has been a Shabazz goat ever since he was groomed by the evil homosexual Roy Cohn. Look up Shabazz goat in the dictionary. There's his picture. And while Halil, also another super chat. Thank you so much, guys. Please make sure to hit that like button. And if you're feeling generous, leave us a super chat. Support independent journalism. We ask you very, very kindly. But yeah, sorry to cut you guys off.
No, the crazy thing about the Israeli, okay, so yesterday the Israeli Foreign Ministry came out and denied the reports of, it was a Turkish flotilla participant and journalist and activist who said Greta was forced to crawl on the floor, possibly dragged across the floor, not sure about beaten, but forced to kiss the Israeli flag. Just not treat. A lot of them were not treated well in terms of access to food or water, and terrorizing them with weapons. There are a bunch of other testimonies. We have a story about it, a news story about it from today on our website. It kind of compiles all of the testimonies if you want to check it out. But so the Israeli Foreign Ministry said that Greta Thunberg was not mistreated and called it brazen lies. And then literally, I'm not kidding, like 5 minutes later, Itamar Ben-Gvir came out and said that he was proud that they were treated like terrorists and that this is his policy, and he's very proud of this policy. So that, made that's a scandal. I mean, they have scandals every day. I mean, it's a mini scandal, but I mean, really, like, you can't even coordinate. They're so just unhinged. They can't coordinate.
It reminds me
their
of
image
this
anymore.
meme that has been going around X for a while now. That is like any tweet in Hebrew, when you translate it, is like a missing page from Mein Kampf. And like when Itamar Ben Gvir comes out, when Bezalel Smotrich comes, when Netanyahu comes out and speaks in Hebrew, and you hit translate, they undo anything that the Israeli Foreign Ministry or the embassies try
Yeah.
to claim, right? And this thing, I mean, the whole like we're gonna treat them like terrorists. They were talking about this like 2-3 weeks ago when the flotilla
Yeah.
set off. They
And
were
they
already
called them
saying
Hamas.
it.
Yeah, I mean, so they
Yeah, the funny thing that especially in the West, they like teach them and treat them and like educate them not to be fascist and to hate fascism. And the most fascist people in the world go to the TVs every day and they speak several languages and it's fine. Especially being Gaviri, this man is so extreme, and Bazel Smotrich also is so extreme. I don't think there's someone who can talk like that if he's not
Yeah.
an Israeli.
And with the flotilla participants, like we saw, maybe we don't have the video to pull up, but we saw Itamar Ben-Gvir verbally assaulting them and called them all terrorists. We have
Yeah.
that on footage, so then we don't even know what happened behind the scenes. But I presume that most of them are not lying in their testimonies. There's all kinds of stuff, like them being forced to lie down in the sun with their heads to the ground, like for over an hour, being like pushed around with weapons. Like there's all kinds of really, harsh stuff. And it hasn't really, if their goal was to kind of discourage more from sailing to try and, let's say, end or symbolically.
I saw some analyst, someone was
There's a
commenting,
new,
saying that their attempt, especially by the European naval vessels, was really they were trying to avoid what's happening now, which is the reports from the prison, of having like European members of parliament and journalists and this and that. Like all of these people come out and be like, this is what I went through inside an Israeli prison. This is how they treated me. Because, and to go back again to the protests that we've seen, public opinion has turned completely. Today, a YouGov poll came out from the UK showing that public opinion of Israel has turned sharply. Now, a large number of British citizens say Israel is committing war crimes in Gaza. There was another poll over the past day in Australia. Half of Australians say Israel needs to be sanctioned. They need to face the same sanctions that Russia faced when they invaded Ukraine. So, there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. I don't care how much money Larry Ellison has to spend. I don't care about how much money Miriam Adelson has to spend. People do not like, first of all, people do not like to be told how to think. That's just across the board. People do not like to be told how to think. And you guys must have seen this guy, Van Jones, on the Bill Maher show, making fun of the dead Gaza babies, making a
no
joke,
comment.
talking about the dead Gaza babies. Like, there's no room anymore. The world just continues to get smaller and smaller for Zionists. And the only thing that they can think of doing is to use blunt force or to use their endless financial, their money, their endless cash.
There's a quote by a military correspondent for the Hebrew Daily Marif, Avi Ashkenazi. And he says that there isn't a single street in Europe today where the Palestinian flag doesn't fly on a shop front or where the slogan Freedom for Palestine isn't seen. In every square in Italy, Spain, England, Germany, and Greece, demonstrations by the movement's supporters have been witnessed. Here, the movement has given a real lesson to absent Israeli diplomacy.
I want to
As
thank
if there
very
was
quickly
ever-
Heman Patel for their super chat. And we have Sharmin Narwani in the chat. Hi, Fox, she says. Harmin here.
Hi, Sharmin.
Here.
Charmine, tell
been-
them when you're coming back because they're asking us to give them a timeline and we don't have it.
Or
You
more,
need to
no, just
talk.
ask them to leave a like. They seem to listen to you. They seem to like you so much. So just ask them to leave those likes. No, okay. In any case, yes. This quote that you just read, Sima, it's very interesting because it's the same in other countries. You know, it's the same in Latin America. I'm sure it's the same. You know, in the U.S., Canada saw very big protests this weekend as well. Very big marches, and this is despite the fact that they're being criminalized, because we cannot ignore that. You know, in the UK, opposing genocide is essentially a crime at this point. In the US, the same thing. You know, like look what was happening with the universities. But you know, people are noticing what's happening, and they're gonna continue. This is not going to slow down.
Right.
Yeah, of course, yani, many of the things that were surrounding like Israel is whatever you say they will say anti-Semite or it's a conspiracy theory, but everybody now know that these are not conspiracy theories. It's not because I am or whatever who talks is anti-Semite. He's saying that this is this is a purely logical and truth because the Zionists and Israel, they are the ones who rewrote history as they want, and they are the ones who influence the Western countries how to teach their youngsters. And now everybody is waking up. Now, yani, in Lebanon, for instance, maybe Sima also, yani, since we are young, our parents told us that Israel controls the United States, no?
Yeah. I mean, when I was that young, it was more just Israel is evil, not that.
Yeah, okay. So now after like 30
Which is
years,
true.
people in the West now know that yes, Israel controls the West and the United States. So now they are waking up and
It's two ways. It's two ways. They control each other. They're one and the same.
yeah.
There is one and the same. Yeah, it's not like, you know, you cannot separate them. You cannot separate.
Yeah,
their-
when I talk about this, I mean in our region, not yani, of course Israel will not go influence whatever the US to bomb
Like
North Korea,
Venezuela
for instance, or
or
Venezuela.
Venezuela.
Yes, in our region. So now people are waking up, and but I think last time also Mohammed Swaidan, he said it very well. Yani, they taught their nations to act like this, and now they are acting against Israel. Yani, they told their nations and they taught their nations to be free and speak for the whatever for the weak, and now the weak is Palestine and the evil is Israel, and I don't think they
yeah, and that broke
they
the system. You
think
know,
about-
like
yeah,
that
they
so
broke the-
quickly broke the
100%.
system. That so quickly broke their system that they don't know how to catch up, and they're doing, like I said, just blunt force and try to, you know, control the narrative, silence voices, etc. You know, the censorship. Again, this is why we need your help. Everyone who's here with us, please just make sure to hit that like button to subscribe.
Charmine, thank you for your comments. We miss
Indeed.
you.
Thank you,
too.
Charmaine.
Charmaine. She says hi, Sima, Seban, Karim. Miss you all. Should be
be
back
back.
on about later in October.
She's like in a
We're
like
waiting.
in another dimension.
Sima is waiting.
Where in the world is Sharmin Arwani?
There's like, we need a time now. How many days?
We should put a countdown clock.
Yes, we need a counter.
I forgot. Oh, Lebanon. I wanted to talk about Lebanon, guys, because the situation just continues to deteriorate, honestly. There's a few interesting stories coming out of Lebanon in the past few days. Of course, Israeli attacks today. A couple, a man and his wife, were assassinated in the south of Lebanon in an Israeli drone strike.
In my village, by the way, Zibdin.
In Karim's village, which continues, you know, thousands upon thousands of ceasefire violations. Meanwhile, the Lebanese government really putting priorities in place. You know, Nawaf Salam, a man of priorities, he will not comment on the assassination of his citizens, but he will try to persecute journalists and activists who there displayed the face of late Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah and Hashem Safi Edine on the Raouche rock in Beirut.
Yeah.
He's really pushing for this, isn't he, little mustache boy?
It's become his main thing. Like the memes now in Lebanon, in case you guys are curious, are all about like that this is the highlight on his CV is like that. And you guys remember the Raushi Rock from previous episode we talked about
Also known as
that
Pigeon Rock. That's what,
Pigeon Rock, the landmark that, as you remember, there was a commemoration week for Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah and Sayyid Hashem Safiuddin, the assassination, and they projected these images onto Pigeon Rock, and all hell like broke loose, and it became the prime minister's like main mission in life to hold those who organized this event accountable. Any influencers and journalists who are out there like acting provocatively, look, we lit it up. He's like, this is his main thing now. He doesn't address. I mean, one thing people commented on was that he didn't address. Yeah, he didn't address even that there were a couple of Lebanese nationals on the flotilla, sailing with the flotilla.
were they
Sumud
freed, by the way? Do we know
I'm
anything
not
about
sure, by the way. I need to look into it. But the point is, so some people were like, he didn't even comment on that. They probably had other passports too, but it doesn't matter. Today, Israeli Army Radio said they will be carrying out several strikes in different areas in Lebanon. They bombed in eastern Lebanon. They bombed in the south. As Karim said, it's around his village, right? The Zebdin Nabatiya highway. I just wanted to tell you that they murdered a couple who, the man, right, is a victim of the pager terror attacks that took place last year. He is blind and his wife was driving. And in fact, according to local Lebanese journalists and what we know, his wife, who was a school teacher, actually left her job to be able to take care of him. And they have kids. And I think maybe, if I'm not mistaken, some of the kids they lost last year as well. And some of them are still alive. But I mean, this is happening in Lebanon. And the cabinet session today, sorry for screaming into the mic, they had a cabinet session to address the army plan to strip Hezbollah of its weapons and hand them over to the state, and the Raushi Rock. Like, those are the 2 points of the cabinet session today, okay? Like, stripping Hezbollah of its weapons while this is happening in the south, and the freaking Pigeon Rock, okay? Just to give you an idea, and no one takes this man seriously anymore. Anyone who does, they exist, but they are NPCs. They are NPCs, okay? So that's it. There's no more I can tell you. I don't need to give you analysis. This is his concern. And meanwhile, this is happening. Case closed.
Yeah,
What do you think, Karim, about Nawab Salam and his crusade?
I don't know if I have enough freedom before I am jailed. I think this is better than speaking. Because this guy came out from nowhere, and everybody that are against Hezbollah and are Zionists in Lebanon, they agreed on him. But I can't speak more than that because also Hezbollah accepted him. I think it's also on Hezbollah. He didn't. Of course, he was like supported by the West and by the Gulf Arab states, but also Hezbollah said okay on him, and the Amal movement. I think this is their problem now because he was accepted by them, and they have to find a solution. Maybe ask a new elections, like boycott the government. They have to make some movements.
When is the elections? When are the elections next year? Is there a date?
Yeah, next year I can pull it up.
While you do that, Karim, there's another, and we're not gonna get too far into this story. I would actually recommend people go and read it here at the Cradle, at thecradle.co.
Sorry, it's May 2026.
May?
Yes.
So it's 8 months from now.
Yeah,
That's gonna go like this. That's gonna go very quickly. So I think. Salam is just probably going to continue to try to jail whoever lead Pigeon Rock until then. A very interesting story about a corruption scandal in Lebanon. I mean, Lebanon, sadly, a country in which corruption is so common. About Starlink. What?
It's common. It's legal. If you did something corruption, it's so normal.
It's a country.
We don't expect anybody to be jailed upon
For
corruption
corruption.
cases.
This is
It never
wasn't
happened
They're
before.
wasn't
releasing Mossad agents, guys, like from prison. So what do you expect? Go
Yeah,
yeah,
ahead.
they're
also,
releasing Mossad agents.
100%.
Wasn't Carlos Ghosn received as a hero in Lebanon when he arrived in
They
the?
wanted to put him as a minister of something of
I know
whatever.
people
He
who wanted him
refused.
as president, and honestly, seeing
Yeah,
Nawaf Salam and Joseph Aoun, I wonder maybe he would have been a better choice. In any case,
I,
go check out this
yeah.
story. The title is Lebanon's Starlink deal rife with unprecedented corruption. This is a report by our friends at Al Mahata. Go follow Al Mahata. They're a great Lebanese outlet. Journalist Hassan Iliak talks about how Lebanon's telecommunications minister is at the center of a scandal with Elon Musk's Starlink that is essentially they're trying to replace all of Lebanon's private internet providers and privatize it, and at the same time open the door for yet more Israeli spying.
Yeah, it's a good read actually. You guys should check it out because it's kind of very relevant to everything that's happening now.
You
And
know,
it
like
just adds to the long list of,
of how the government
messed
works.
up stuff that the government, which look, there have been cases like this all throughout, history, but they just seem to be happening in like they're, they seem like so much more because it's getting so much more ridiculous and it's all compressed into like a shorter period of time. So it's like escalated. Like
No, and like
there
at
have
the end
been
of the day,
several.
these things
Yeah.
end up,
Look,
who wins here, and it's the Israeli occupation.
Look, the point is also now they have the window, as I said, and you said after 8 months there's elections, and maybe it will be very difficult for the West and Israel and the Gulf countries to get a person like Nawaf Salam. So they are trying to do everything to aid and to support Israel before Nawaf Salam leaves, because the things that he's doing, again, sorry for our viewers, if maybe there's new viewers. Lebanon, we don't have electricity, we don't have water. The money are stuck in the bank, and people who like
It's
work
gone.
for
6 years.
tons of years till now, they can't get out of their money for 6 years. The country didn't even recover from Corona, and Israel is bombing
The port
Lebanon.
explosion.
The port explosion. Israel is bombing Lebanon from the north to the south, east, west, and they occupy 5 points. And till
More than
now,
5,
all
yeah.
what he needs, all what he wants now to prosecute people that put photo for Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah on a rock. And who is Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah? Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah is a Lebanese hero
Yeah.
who managed to force the Israeli occupation from Lebanon. 12% of Lebanon was occupied by Israel since 1978 till the year 2000. Not because of Nawaf Salam, not because of the United States, not because of Saudi Arabia, because there was a man who believed that he can free his country by his will and with the will of the Lebanese, not other countries. And he did it. And now, who killed him? Israel killed him. The
And
enemy
how
of
did
the
they kill
world,
him?
not enemy of some countries, the enemy of the world, Israel, killed him. And after 1 year of his assassination that happened in Beirut, in Lebanon, during a war on Lebanon, all what the government wants and Nawaf Salam is to prosecute people that put his picture on a rock for around maybe 10 or 5 minutes. So please feel the agony and the illogic that we feel in a place like Lebanon. We're not like we don't have problems and he wants to prevent this because this might like lead to problems. No, we live in problems, and all what he wants to do is to remove the weapons of Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah and to prosecute anyone who put his picture on the rock.
I want to thank.
That's too much.
And
wanna-
release Mossad collaborators.
More
Yeah,
importantly, I
yes,
want to thank
sorry.
Clifford Bostria for their super chat. He says, Sima and Sharmin are serious, smart, moat, universally beautiful journalists to behold. Well, thank you so much, I guess.
Thank you.
And Don Sugar also, he asked, do they still have hashish in Lebanon? I guess we're the wrong people to ask such a question, but I imagine there is.
Yeah, I think there will always be. So
Let's move on to Syria, guys, because something very interesting is happening there, in the new democratic, freedom-loving, diversity-loving Syria, in which elections are taking place. And as we have discussed before in the podcast, who's voting in this election? Well, not many people. Not many people. These are predetermined elections in which there is simply no popular vote. The vote, whatever exactly that entails, the electoral experts, I guess, that were picked by the former Al Qaeda in Syria commander, now calling himself president, Ahmad al Shara, voted to elect a new parliament. Shara himself, Julani himself, is going to elect a third of the parliament. The other two-thirds are going to be elected by these panel of experts, by these electoral commissions that have been also handpicked by Ahmad al-Shara. So, the New Democratic Syria really setting off to a great new start. On Saturday, the Associated Press had this report that was so interesting, in which it said, nobody in Syria even knows about the elections. Like, Syrians don't know that there's elections tomorrow because, of course, they are not voting, right? And of course, the excuse for not letting people vote is that, oh well, we haven't conducted a census. We don't know how many people are in Syria, and also there's a security crisis because you have all of these ISIS lunatics killing ethnic minorities under the rule of Julani himself. So in any case, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about the Syrian elections.
Polling, I think, was also limited to certain areas, like there are provinces where there was nothing at all, and that's probably part of why a lot of people have no idea about it. Like the elections were postponed in Hasaka and in Raqqa and Swaida, due to instability.
In the south and the east.
Yeah, so they're not like directly participating in this election, as Esteban has clarified before. So there are representatives that are being chosen through an indirect system, where local electoral colleges, not voters, right, select 2/3 of the 210 parliamentary seats, with the rest appointed by Ahmad al-Shara, Abu Muhammad al-Julani himself. I don't know. I mean, today, are they still counting votes, I think?
I don't
there's
know.
a report that says that there's been preliminary results published of they call it the indirect vote, by the way. Around 6,000 members of regional electoral colleges chose candidates from pre-approved lists. This kind of sounds like the U.S., let me tell you that much. This kind of sounds like the U.S. election.
No, I have something to say about Syria, but it's not related to the elections.
Go ahead.
So,
But I want to ask, yani, if somebody is elected, is he a deputy or an emir? Yani, what's
and emir, I don't know. I mean, no.
Yeah,
I mean, a member of
The
parliament,
emirs
right?
are
Yeah, I
already
know,
all
I
over the
know.
place. The emirs are already on the ground doing their thing.
The funny thing that Shara is doing, like 10 times worse what people were accusing Bashar al-Assad to do. Yeah, that's also crazy. And despite what Bashar al-Assad did, but you told us that this guy came to like fix everything, and he's doing worse. The killings that happened in Sahel, in the coast, and in the south, and now the elections, and him wanting to do like deal with Israel less than 6 months after he. No, sure, 6 months. I think they started talk immediately. And they
Almost.
gave interviews to Israel.
I'm sure he was talking to them before he
Well,
went
don't
to
forget
Damascus.
there were Israeli journalists roaming Syria from day one.
Yeah, 100%.
Freely.
To be honest, I didn't have a voice like 5 years ago. But for instance, like Sharmeen and many other journalists, Al Qaeda and Julani and all of these people,
Yeah.
they are. They used to say they are manufactured and put by the West and by the United States, and even Trump said it more than once in his speeches that Obama is the creator of ISIS, and also the last I forgot his name, the American that he was the ambassador in Damascus during the clashes when it started. He said that this man was like. Reshaped, not reshaped. What's the word? He was like,
Yeah, like makeover.
yeah, he was.
Yes.
He had a makeover by the UK. So
There was a UK public relations firm or something.
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
Tony
yeah.
Blair had his hand there as well. Seems to be
100%.
like
No, I mean,
everywhere.
but again, like from day one, Israelis were suddenly free to do whatever they wanted in Syria. Like no one would say anything to them or do anything to them. And there's another thing, which is again, not to come off as to clarify that this is not about anti-Semitism, but the point is there's like been a return of Syrian Jews to Syria, and the issue is not that they're Jews. Ideally, we would love if all Jews from Lebanon, Syria came back the ones who left, but the idea is that they are very often tied to Israel. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about that they are Jewish, but you see them now, the rabbis, the this, the that. There is actually, for the first time in ages, a Jew running for a parliament seat.
Yeah, 100%.
In Damascus, the Henry
100%.
Hamra. So all of these have ties to Israel. Okay, so it's not about that they're Jews. Of course, it's been a long time since we've had a Jew run for parliament in Syria, and again, not because of anti-Semitism, but because it's a very sensitive thing. You know, go back to it's like when the Jews talk about how there were pogroms against them in Iraq. Well, why wasn't that happening before 1948? There's a reason. You know what I mean? It's not anything to do with just the fact that they're Jews. But anyway, so we've seen this Israeli presence growing. We've seen a lot of people with dual nationality, one of them being Israeli, on vacation in Syria, taking photos. There was a, what's it called? There's like Israelis just freely, like on TikTok and, social media, prancing around, parading around, whatever you want to call it, Syria. There's just another thing about Syria, the new Syria, that I wanted to bring up. It's an update, it's a very telling update. Might not be a very important thing when it comes to developments on the ground, but a very telling. So what's happening in the new Syria now, under this so-called, transitional president?
Democratic government, yes.
Yes, Ahmad al-Shara. They have just issued a decree redefining the country's official holidays. And, okay, get this, 2 of the most symbolic national holidays have been completely erased. Which 2 national holidays are these? The October Liberation War anniversary and Martyrs' Day. Let me
Wow.
explain.
Even
Let me
Sisi
explain.
didn't do that.
Let me explain. Let me explain, because this is basically like you're just giving a gift to Israel and a gift to Turkey. So, according to the new decree, holidays will now be based on occasions celebrated by all Syrians. This is the excuse. It sounds nice on paper that they're doing this reconfiguration to make sure that all holidays apply to everyone. That's so okay. But what it really means is that Syria's most defining moments in history have been deleted from its collective calendar. So let's rewind to understand why this mattered. The October War, the 1973 war, began on October 6th, so actually on this day, when Syria and Egypt launched a coordinated offensive against Israel, the goal was to reclaim the Golan Heights and the Sinai, which were occupied in 1967. Syrian forces fought very fiercely. It was like for 80 days they engaged in what became known as the War of Attrition, and they were trying to, and during the war, actually, the Syrian army managed to recapture Mount Hermon and parts of the Golan Heights. But then, after Israel was able to do a counterattack and reclaim the parts that Syria had recaptured. Nonetheless, many martyrs fell. It was a very important battle. So that, which is Syria fighting Israel, is being erased from the calendar, right? Okay, number 2 is Martyrs' Day, marked every year on May 6th in Lebanon and Syria.
Yes,
Why?
yes.
Because
Because
it
of
honors
Turkish, yeah.
yes, it honors the nationalists who were executed by the Ottoman authorities between 1915 and 1917. Men and women, basically, who were hanged in Beirut and Damascus by the Ottomans for daring to speak freely and demanding independence. So this day has always stood for freedom and sacrifice and resistance, and now it's gone too. This is why many people, including us, are framing this as canceling these holidays to please Turkey and Israel. Don't come and tell me it's because the Assads were in power and please.
No.
Please, Syria's
These are,
history.
sorry, these are before.
Exactly.
يعني 6
No,
May
I mean, okay. Yeah.
is
6
before
May, it has
even the
nothing to do with-
creation of Syria
Exactly. So you
as
can't come.
in the current borders.
Don't
يعني.
make
This
it about
happened in
Assad.
the, yeah, 100%. This I think it happened in
1915.
1915.
Yani, nothing to
So,
do with, and now you're trying to
Hafiz
frame it.
was not born.
You're trying to frame it as like, oh, but we want holidays that like everyone can relate
Yeah,
to.
exactly. That's
So
what I
the
was talking
hell?
about.
Anyway,
يعني
that's my development on
Yeah,
Syria.
يعني-
There's so much happening, guys, really, on Syria. There's a lot of killings going on, a lot of killings
A
of
lot of
minorities
kidnappings, a
and
lot of
revenge
kidnappings.
killings, not just sectarian, more revenge killings. Oh, he served in the he served in the army under Assad. Oh, the people are getting killed just really every day, and that's aside from the abductions taking
Yeah,
place.
not even that. يعني, you have many Syrians that are well educated and live outside of Syria. If they like wrote a post against Sharia, even like 5, 6 years ago, they are not allowed to go into the country again. So I just want to clarify, that's what I was talking about. Yani for instance, as if Israel and the world and the Gulf countries, they have like a window, like 1 year window for Nawaf Salam and for Sharia, despite what's happening in Lebanon, despite what's happening in Syria and all the massacres and all the suffering and the lack of electricity and blah, 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 blah. Look what the governments are concentrating on. This is illogical. This tells you that these people have nothing to do with their countries. They don't even love their countries 1%. If you love your country 1%, why would you do that? At least you put these on the side, and when you fix the things that are important for your country, that are important for your people, then you will
Yeah, why is this
handle
even a
this.
priority?
Yeah,
Why is
that's
canceling
insane.
these holidays a priority?
Sorry, now, sorry,
It's
I am
rewriting history,
somehow, yeah,
as you guys said. It's
because
rewriting
just
history.
now I knew from Seaman. That's why I'm maybe overreacting. Sorry.
By the way, Shaheen says Jews from Europe, not Semites, but I was talking about Jews from Lebanon and Syria. So when I was talking about, I don't mean this in an anti-Semitic way, but I meant that there are many diaspora Jews from Lebanon, Syria, who tend to be tied up with Israel. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
All
just
right.
want also to thank Clifford Barista Bostria, sorry, for the third time today. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you
and thanks
so
to
much,
everyone
guys.
who joined us. As I said at the beginning of the podcast, and I just want to go back to that now. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts. You can also say something. But tomorrow, it's the second anniversary of October 7th of Operation Al-Aqsa Flood. I remember that day so very clearly. I'm sure you guys do the same. Me personally, maybe it was foolish, but I did not expect that things would become what they became. I did not expect that Israel would be allowed to do what it did. Like I said, maybe a bit of a bit naive, I guess, knowing everything that we know.
Yeah, I
Hamas
mean,
and the Palestinian resistance, many of the soldiers who launched that attack that day, that was the very first day they had ever left Gaza. Gaza, a place that was under siege for nearly 2 decades by that point. Like Karim said, also, the aim of the operation was to take captives to exchange them for the thousands that are still in Israeli prisons and these Israeli torture centers. The operation was also launched because of the provocations on Al-Aqsa Mosque, which again continue. The Jewish supremacists continue to say we're going to demolish Al-Aqsa Mosque, we're going to build the third temple. And also, it was at a time in which the normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel seemed like a done deal. They were talking about signing it within the next few days after that. So Hamas, all of these things come together. They launched their attack, and then, well, Israel did what it has done to this point. The Palestinian Health Ministry, the Gaza Health Ministry, is talking about 67,000 killed. That is not true. I will,
yeah. Well, look,
I will die on this hill. That is
definitely not.
completely
Definitely not.
undercounting it. I feel like by the time the dust settles, if this Trump plan, comes into effect and the fighting ends, we're going to be talking about nearly half the population of Gaza has been killed. I have no doubt about that.
I mean, with these conservative numbers, we're talking about what could be counted. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, it's not anywhere near the real number.
Not at
And
all.
I don't have anything to say because we're living through such tough times and so much has happened since then. But 7 October remains 7 October. But yeah, so according to government numbers released yesterday, new stats, it's a whole list of stats, but I just wanted to focus on three. Most of you may already know, but according to the latest stats by the Gaza Government Media Office, 90% of Gaza has been destroyed. 200,000 tons of explosives have been dropped on Gaza, which amounts to multiple nuclear bombs. And 80% of Gaza is currently controlled by Israel. Now, there's of course all the numbers, you'll find them by the Gaza Government Media Office about the health sector, the education, the billions in losses. It's all there. The sacred, the mosques and the churches, it's all there. But just these three, I would like to.
Yeah. And I want to point out something too to what you're saying, Sima, that more than a year ago, the Israeli army was already talking that there are no longer any military targets in Gaza and that they had run out of things to bomb, essentially. So now, a year from then, what you've been seeing is just they're bombing tents, they're bombing any structure that remains, they're bombing hospitals, universities, schools. I mean, the horror is unending. It's unimaginable. We are also seeing fewer and fewer reports from the ground on Gaza. And that is because Israel has essentially eradicated journalists inside the strip. and they continue to do it. Just a few hours ago, they killed yet another journalist. The toll, according to the health ministry, is 252 journalists. But
Doctors as well.
just to highlight again, the tolls that are coming out of the health ministry are undercounting the actual numbers significantly by a very, very large margin. And this is according to scientific studies, epidemiological studies. This is, multiple scientists have already come out and said this is completely wrong, these numbers. So in any case, tomorrow is 2 years, is the start of the third year. And unfortunately, I feel like we're still not really, we don't have an end in sight to the massacre.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Esteban, on your thoughts that I think the first 3 months or 4 months, they said that they destroyed like 90% of Hamas, and now we're entering the second year. So as you said, more than
We're
1
entering
year.
the third year.
The third year, as you said, yeah, they are bombing left and right with just to dominate and to humiliate people.
Yeah, the
to humiliate.
catastrophic situation that I have no words for, like if I put that aside and I really think about how the Palestinian resistance has continued to fight the invading forces until today, it still has its snipers, it still has its explosives that it attaches to vehicles, it still has its short-range rockets. And look, I know I said earlier that Musa Abu Marzouk said 90% of Hamas's capabilities have been destroyed, but they do still have some long-range rockets. But the point here is just, it's almost a miracle, to
Yeah.
me, to see this, because this is like sacrifice, this is really, I have no words to describe
I was
it.
going to add to you, they still have the will. They still
Yeah.
have the will after all of this
course.
time, after all of this brutality. And let's just, to anybody who might still have any doubts about this, Gaza's weapons, the Palestinian weapons, the Lebanese weapons, the resistance weapons, they are defensive weapons. It is the occupation weapons that are offensive. It is the oppressed, it is the ones that are being colonized who have the right to resist and to oppose by any means necessary. The occupation does not have this right. Israel does not have the right to self-defense as an apartheid state, as a military occupation, and now as a genocidal state.
And
So,
how horrific, though, that it's been, they've been demonized for exercising their right.
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Demonized. Demonized
and
is the right
taboo.
word.
It's taboo now to talk about any form of support for Hamas. I mean, that's insane.
That
in
is
my
insane.
opinion.
Well, with that, I didn't want to let this pass up because, like I said, tomorrow is the second anniversary. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Make sure before you leave, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, check out our memberships. More importantly, check out our Patreon, where you can support us. When you go to our homepage at thecradle.co, you will also find a support us button, which will can take you either to our Patreon or will also take you to our merch page. We have a merch for sale. So make sure to check that out. We need all of your support. The censorship, the persecution is going to continue to get worse. We stand on your support. Support independent journalism. Thank you so much, Sima. Thank you so much, Karim. And
Thank you.
we'll see you on Thursday.
Bye-bye.